Hey, I'm here with my friend Charles Alexander. He has a company called Streaming Promotions. Does marketing, and they help artists get placed in the right places on Spotify and other streaming platforms. So, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, such a pleasure. You know, we've known each other a couple, 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a couple, 3 years.
There's a witness protection program. I don't know how. Yeah, we haven't seen each other for a while, but I just love your work. I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that cat saw thing. Yeah, pretty cool.
Thanks.
Sure.
So just tell a little bit about your company, just a brief overview so people understand what you do.
Yeah. So what does Streaming Promotions do? So we're basically a streaming marketing and strategy company. And I co-founded this company with my business partner, Michael Sloan, who used to work at Big Machine. He was sort of Taylor Swift's digital, marketing, digital strategy guy. And the way this works is that, I have a skill set or had a skill set. And he's basically kind of the brains behind the business in terms of helping us grow it and all that stuff. And so when we first started, it was back in 2015. So this June, it'll be 3 years. And we started just he and I. And now we have a company of about 8 folks, 6 of them full-time. And it's been great. So we currently run, I think we have about 65 clients. The first week or the first month we were in business, we got people like Ryan Cabrera, and that's mostly due to Sloan's, everybody calls him Sloan. So due to Sloan's connections and whatever, and we kind of built the business out from there. And now, we have people on staff who do this thing better than I do, even though, started out doing that and then help train them. And that's what you want, right? You want the student to become better than the master or to become the master. Yeah. So that's us.
So a lot of the artists that I talk to, they seem like it's a mystery, or everybody thinks it's a mystery how to get on Spotify playlists.
Yeah.
And how to get plays and how certain independent artists do that out of nowhere, it seems like. Can you shed some light on how...
No, it's all mystery and magic. You need to sacrifice a goat. You need to get, Merlin to do things. No, it's not like that at all. So most of our expertise is around Spotify. And the way it used to work, say 3 years ago when we first started, is very much different than how it is now. And I think what folks need to understand about the platform, especially Spotify, is that, at least as far as we see it, Spotify might have a different idea about this, but it's a social media platform that happens to share music. So if you have that as your central concept about this stuff, then I think that will help you sort of understand what goes on. So just like other social media channels, if you have constant quality content, like on YouTube, like on Insta, like on Facebook, then your engagement rate goes up. So Spotify's analytics or data backend all measures how consistently you put out content and how good the quality of the content. But you can't do something where you put out a piece of music, it goes on New Music Friday, it blows up, and then you can't wait 3, 4, 5 months to put out your next piece of content. You have to capitalize on the momentum that you've already built. So, unless you're someone like a Jason Isbell, who has a huge following and engagement and, an audience, I don't want to say built in because he built that audience. But unless you're someone like that, dropping albums, so like you go into a studio, I'm sure this is not the thing you want to hear, Mr. Producer Guy, but you go into a studio and you record an entire album, and then you plan this thing for like 2-3 months, and then you drop the entire album on one day without an audience. That's it. Your runway's done. But you want to come and record with you, and then like drip those singles out until you've built an audience, and then you can strategize about whether you want to put out an EP or a full length or whatever. So I think that's what people need to remember about the platform, is that constant content, quality content, and then working and engaging with your audience on the platform.
Okay, then how does like New Music Friday work in those big playlists? Do they pull those new songs from artists that already have that built up?
Yeah.
And they find the ones that are coming out with a new song somehow, and then they just...
Yeah, so New Music Friday now works a little bit differently than how it did, say, 2-3 years ago. So New Music Friday, if you look at the playlists now, especially New Music Friday, if you look at the composition of those singles or releases, I would say these days about 75, 80, maybe even north of 80% are going to be major label projects or distributed through a major, or have a significant, visible, high-profile partner. But it might not look like that to you. So you might go, oh, who's this brand new artist that I've never heard of before? It's amazing, and looks like an independent. But then if you like follow the tree of custody, you'll see that at some point there's a major involved in it, right? Now there's about, probably at least when we see, it's about 20%, maybe less now, are completely independent, and we see that. So those kinds of music, or those kinds of releases, 1 or 2, 3 things happen. There are some of those releases where it's completely spontaneous. The music gets served up on the platform or gets distributed on the platform, and the algorithm kind of like, quote unquote, listens to the song, and based on previous types of songs that have been really reactive on the platform or on New Music Friday, kind of goes, oh, this is a type of song that would work really well on this kind of a playlist, and then suggests that song to the curator who actually manages or curates their playlist. Some of the other stuff is just people jockeying for position and kind of calling up the curator, or busting up the relationship and kind of going, okay, blowing up the relationship and going, put the song, or and then I can't imagine that Fridays at Spotify are a completely joyous occasion unless everybody's in agreement with stuff like that.
Okay. So does Discover Weekly work the same way?
No.
Okay.
So we love Discover Weekly, we love Release Radar, we love Daily Mix. There's also some other kinds of playlists called Particle Detector, The Needle. So Discover Weekly and Release Radar in particular are what we call algorithmic playlists. So Spotify now calls them your personalized playlists. And what that basically means is Spotify listens to what you listen to, or rather is aware of what you listen to, and then has a profile about your listening profile. And so Discover Weekly, the way that works is usually it's about other people who listen like you, or let's just say we have 3 individuals. An individual A listens to a specific kind of music and has song A, B, and C, and then another individual listens to song C, D, and E, and there's then the third individual that listens to song A and song E, in their listening profile. And so the algorithm is going to make this is a very oversimplified sort of algorithmic explanation, but the algorithm kind of goes, oh, if this person likes this song, this person likes this song, maybe they'll like, this third person will like the song that they two both have in common, So then it serves up those songs to anyone who fits that profile. So that's kind of how this.
So the more plays you get, the more likely you're going to be discovered in somebody else's.
More importantly, the more plays is true, but the more people who've already listened to your music, so the more people who've saved their music to their own library, or the more people that have followed your profile, the better the chance that music then gets served up to other people who might share those same tastes.
Okay, so people saving is very important.
Extremely important. So as far as we're concerned, and I think, we can't swear to this, but I think as far as Spotify is concerned, stream counts, whatever, follows and saves are huge.
Okay.
And shares. So like if you go and, let's just say, I heard your music and I go share it on my socials, then Spotify tracks all that stuff. So especially on Facebook and Twitter and Insta now. So if it's aware of that, and if there's oversharing, there's a good thing, right? It's not like oversharing in real life. So, but yeah, those kinds of things really, really do matter. Yeah.
Okay. Should Spotify be the main focus as opposed to the other streaming sites? It seems like the leader, I guess.
That's a really great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So it just depends on the kind of music you're working in, right? Or if you know something about your audience already, and let's just say after like 10, 12 years, or maybe even 3, 4 years of touring, you know that your music resonates, say with, you go out and play shows and you look out in the audience and it's the 18 to 24, 30, 32, young, hip audience, then you probably want Spotify. And not to say other age groups aren't hip, but let's just say your audience trends a little bit older, then you're probably looking at something like Apple. If your music tends to trend even older than that, like legacy audiences, or not legacy audiences, but older audiences that tend to favor physical, that tend to favor, older artists, or, songs, or let's say that are country heavy or lyric heavy, then maybe you want to look at Amazon. If you have the kind of audience that isn't very sort of engaged and what we call lean forward, which is like, they're not constantly like pressing on a playlist or following a playlist or pulling songs of a playlist or doing any of that kind of stuff, then they just want to sit back and listen to whatever comes on, like radio, then maybe you're a Pandora type of artist, and so you want to work that platform. So it just depends. So you need to have an idea of just where your audience lives.